Your child just told you they had a great day at school. They're smiling, everything seems fine, but here's what you didn't see. At recess, they sat alone because asking to join a game felt too scary. At lunch, they ate food they hated because disagreeing with their friend felt dangerous. On the bus ride home, they rehearsed that smile so you wouldn't ask questions. Right now, your child might be hiding signs of insecure attachment so well that you'd never know. And these hidden signals, they're shaping who they'll become. But once you know what to look for, you'll see these quiet signs everywhere, and that's when everything changes. I'm going to walk you through 7 signs that most parents overlook. These aren't the obvious red flags like tantrums or aggression. These are the whisper quiet signals that hide in everyday moments. The scary part, when these signs go unnoticed, they can shape how your child views relationships for their entire life. They affect friendships, romantic partners, even their relationship with themselves decades from now. But here's the good news. Once you know what to look for, you can start healing these patterns today. Not months from now, not after expensive therapy. Today, and by the end of this video, you'll have a completely different lens for understanding your child's behavior. So let's get into it. Before I reveal the first sign, I need to tell you something that might make you uncomfortable. You ready? Your child might be showing you love in ways you don't recognize, and you might be missing it completely. And that missed connection is creating a gap neither of you understands. Here's what I mean. Sign 1, your child doesn't come to you when they're hurt. Think about the last time your child fell down or scraped their knee. Did they run to you, or did they brush it off, get up quickly, and pretend nothing happened? Most parents see this and think, wow, my kid is so tough, so independent. But here's what's really happening. Children with avoidant attachment learn early that their emotional needs won't be met consistently, so they stop asking. A 4-year-old who falls and immediately says, I'm fine, before you even get to them isn't being brave. They're protecting themselves from potential rejection. They wanted comfort, but past experience taught them that showing vulnerability doesn't always end well, so they learn to handle pain alone, and then they stop trusting that anyone will be there when it matters. Now you might be thinking this sounds extreme. After all, kids need to be independent, right? But hold on, because the next sign reveals something even more troubling about what's happening inside your child's mind. Sign 2, they're overly helpful or mature for their age. Does your 6-year-old set the table without being asked? Does your 7-year-old try to comfort you when you're stressed? Does your child seem like a little adult? Teachers probably praise this. Relatives probably say, you're so lucky to have such a responsible kid. But here's the truth that's hard to hear. Kids who are too mature too fast are often anxious about their parents' emotional state. They've learned that keeping you happy keeps them safe. One mom told me her 9-year-old daughter would clean the kitchen every night after dinner. It seemed helpful, sweet even, but during a therapy session, the daughter said, when mom is happy, she talks to me more. When she's tired, she goes to her room. This child wasn't being helpful, she was working for connection. She wanted her mother's attention, but chaos or stress would make mom withdraw, so she learned that being good and helpful might earn her the love she craved, and then she spent her childhood performing instead of just being. You're probably wondering how this connects to the other signs, and what I'm about to tell you next might actually upset you because it involves something you do every single day. Sign 3, they agree with everything you say. Pay attention this week. When you suggest something, does your child immediately say yes? When you ask their opinion, do they mirror yours? Kids with anxious attachment become emotional detectives. They're constantly scanning your face, your tone, your body language, trying to figure out what answer will keep you close. A dad once told me his 10-year-old son never seemed to have preferences. Pizza or burgers? Whatever you want, dad. Park or movies? I don't care. He thought he had an easygoing kid, but the truth was his son had learned that having different opinions sometimes led to disconnection. He wanted to say, I want burgers or I really want to go to the park, but disagreement felt dangerous to him, so he erased his own preferences to avoid any risk of pushing his dad away, and then he grew up not knowing what he actually wanted because he'd spent years prioritizing everyone else's needs. Now here's where it gets really interesting, because the next sign looks like the exact opposite of what we just talked about, and that's what makes insecure attachment so confusing. Sign 4, they push you away, then panic when you leave. This one feels like whiplash. Your child says, go away, I don't need you, so you respect their space and step back. Suddenly they're crying, following you, desperate for closeness. Then 10 minutes later, they're pushing you away again. This isn't manipulation, this is disorganized attachment, and it's heartbreaking because the child is genuinely confused. They want comfort, but closeness feels scary, so they push you away to feel safe, and then the distance triggers panic, so they pull you back close, but then vulnerability feels overwhelming again. It's an exhausting cycle. One mother described it perfectly. She said, it's like my daughter is standing at a door, desperately wanting to come in, but every time I open it, she runs away. That little girl wanted her mother, but trusting her mother felt dangerous because past experiences were inconsistent, so she got stuck in this painful push-pull dance, and then both mother and daughter felt rejected and confused. Before I share the 5th sign, let me tell you something that changed how I see children completely. Are you ready? Sign 5, they don't show excitement when you come home. Picture this, you've been gone all day, you walk through the door expecting hugs, smiles, maybe even a I missed you. Instead, your child barely looks up. They keep playing, they act like you weren't gone at all. This isn't indifference. This is a protective strategy. Children with avoidant attachment learn that getting excited about reunion leads to disappointment, so they stopped showing it. They wanted to run to you and feel that joy of reconnection, but maybe in the past you were distracted, stressed, or on your phone, so that excitement didn't lead to the connection they hoped for, and then they learned to protect themselves by not hoping at all. A teacher once told me about a kindergartner who never got excited at pickup. Other kids would light up when they saw their parents. This little boy would calmly pack his bag and walk out. His mom thought he was just mellow. But during circle time, when asked what he loved most, he said, "When my mom picks me up from school." He felt it, he just couldn't show it. You might be thinking some of these signs describe your child, and you might be feeling guilty right now. But before you spiral, the next sign is actually the most hopeful one because it shows you exactly where to start healing. Sign 6, they can't handle mistakes. Watch what happens when your child spills juice or forgets their homework. Do they freeze? Do they immediately say, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry"? Do they cry disproportionately to the situation? Kids with insecure attachment often view mistakes as threats to the relationship. They don't just think, "Oops, I messed up." They think, "Now they won't love me." One child told his therapist, "When I do something wrong, I think my parents wish I was different." He wanted to be himself, messy and imperfect, but mistakes felt like evidence he was too much or not enough. So he became terrified of getting anything wrong, and then he stopped trying new things altogether because failure felt like losing love. And now, the 7th and final sign. This one is the most subtle, but it might be the most important of all. Sign 7, they never ask for help. Your child struggles with homework but doesn't ask questions. They can't reach something but try to climb instead of calling you. They have a problem with a friend but keep it to themselves. This looks like independence. It's actually isolation. Children who don't ask for help learn that asking is risky. Maybe in the past, requests were met with frustration, dismissal, or figure it out yourself. So they wanted support and guidance, but asking felt like a burden, so they learned to struggle alone, and then they carried that pattern into adulthood, never reaching out, never trusting that anyone would actually help. Here's what I need you to understand. If you saw your child in any of these signs, you're not a bad parent. Attachment isn't about perfection, it's about patterns, and patterns can change. The fact that you watched this entire video means you care enough to do the work. That's what matters. Starting today, try this. When your child shows any of these signs, name what you see without judgment. If they brush off an injury, say, "I noticed you got hurt. I'm here if you need comfort." If they agree with everything, say, "I want to know what you really think, even if it's different from me." These small moments of repair add up. They teach your child that connection is safe, that they can be themselves and still be loved. Now I've created an entire video about how to build secure attachment, even if you're starting from scratch. It's the natural next step after what you learned today. You'll find it right here. Go watch it now while this is fresh. And if this video helped you see your child differently, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the rest of this series. Your child is lucky to have a parent who cares this much. Now go use what you learned.